Hello Pioneers, welcome to another great week of learning. This week we will have a message from Ms. Lehman and also our first challenge problem of the year. Speaking of challenges, have you seen a balloon with all our growth mindset statements? They look great and repeating them when things get thought can help us through our challenge, which brings us to our first story. Our third grade students in Mrs. Lasate's class were challenged to work with and partner to save Sam the gummy worm from drowning. They could not touch the Sam with their hands. During the challenge, the students worked through any frustrations and persevered. We won't give you the answer, but here are some of the pictures of the students showing our growth mindset in action. Great example, guys. Let's go to Mrs. Lehman for another important message.
Hello, Fort Howard Pioneers. We are now into our second week of school, and we've been off to a great start. I first want to bring our attention to an award that we received at the end of last year because of last year's work. Here it says, recognized for efforts to implement a culturally responsive system of support for behavior. So what we've been working on in school is E plus R equals O. What we do, how we respond gives an outcome. Culturally responsive talks about how are we accepting differences in everyone, how are we building on the strengths of people, and how are we making sure that we're supporting and giving everyone what they need in order to be successful. So not every school in the state receives this award, but because of the hard work that you're doing and the hard work the teachers are doing, we've received this. So we will have this hanging in the school, but you should be really proud of the work that you're doing and that it's being recognized by the state of Wisconsin. So again, give yourself a round of applause or a big hand because again, we were recognized for the hard work and all of the growth that students are making. So that was my first thing I wanted to talk about. This month, we're talking about Ready Bodies, Growing Minds. And that has to do with everything that we're talking about, things that you're responsible for in the classroom. And I wanted to just highlight a few things that shows where we have some challenges and where I'm seeing some success. So the first was working through challenges. I've talked with other adults. It's really cool to see a lot of you saying, oh, I don't know how to do this yet, but I know I can do it. Oh, that's a challenge, but I can make it through a challenge. Those are some really positive ways that you can be approaching a challenge. You can go to a friend, you can ask a teacher, but always know when we learn, it's going to be hard at first. There are times that we're seeing students who say, I don't care, I give up, this is too hard, I'm bored. Those are not ways that are going to show our growth mindset, and those aren't going to help you be successful, and that doesn't show us that we have growing minds. It's really important to know something will be hard for everyone, but the more you work on it, the better that's going to get. Another is taking responsibility. We had a conflict out on the playground one of the first days of school, and two students just got frustrated with each other, and on their own, when they came into the cafeteria, they went up to each other and they said, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that. I shouldn't have pushed you. Someone said, I shouldn't have called you that name. Right there, that's what we want in taking responsibility. We all can get mad and frustrated, but for us to be able to say, I had a role in it, and to also know that someone else's feelings have been hurt or they've been bothered. So those are things that we want to see in taking responsibility. I've also seen some students who do not take responsibility. So they say, I didn't do that. I'm not going to. We start yelling back at a friend. We start yelling back at a teacher. Those are not appropriate ways for us to be handling or expected behaviors at school. We've been seeing students using our tools appropriately. Every classroom has your mindfulness or your cool down area. We have tools that can be used. And I've gone through classrooms and I see students using them for a few minutes and they're getting their bodies ready so that their mind can attend to what the teacher is wanting. Where we're using the tools appropriately, if it's a squish ball, we're squishing it. If you're watching the water, the sand come down, and then we're coming back and we're doing the task that was very challenging for us or that we got frustrated with. Sometimes we'll see the tool use where we get mad and we just want to go because we want to avoid doing our work. That's not the expected use of those tools, but it's really important that when someone else is using a tool, we have to be patient and we have to wait. And there are other tools that you can use, but it's important for us that we're using them appropriately, using our mindfulness area, and using our words to ask the teacher for what I'm actually going to be needing. Shutdowns. We've been seeing a few shutdowns happening. I know we're getting tired. I know we're in routines, but there is no positive that comes out of just quitting, refusing to respond to the teacher, putting our head down, refusing to do our work, not going to listen. If you get to that frustration point, you have to be able to use your words and tell us, I'm mad or I'm frustrated or I need 2 minutes. But then you always are to be coming back, so we have that growing mind piece of it. And it is important. Think back to E plus R equals O. Think back to Phi-Ed when we keep talking about I want to be fun to play with. What does that take to be that? So how we treat people are also how they're going to treat us. We need to be respectful. So again, as we're looking at this, looking at our growing bodies and our ready bodies and our growing minds, we need to make sure that we're doing expected behaviors, using our language. We need to make sure we continue to talk about how do we work through challenges. We all have challenges, even as adults. Taking responsibility. So did I do my best on my work? Did I treat my friend with respect and was I helpful to them? Using my tools appropriately. They are in the classroom for you to be able to use. So now how do you ask? Your teacher doesn't just know what you need. You have to be able to say, this is what I need to help me. But it's always to help you get back to doing what everyone else is doing within the classroom. And then shutdowns. We can be frustrated and that can happen, but we always have to figure out, do I need a minute or two? But then I'm always going to be coming back to do what's expected. So again, this month, working on ready bodies, growing minds. Hopefully, we all continue to work really hard so we have a great school year.
Thank you, Ms. Lehman. It is time to exercise our brain and be challenged with a logic puzzle.
This is a logic challenge involving a unicorn, a sea serpent, a manatee, and a dragon. 4 kids went to a very unusual pet store. Each child picked out a different animal to take home. Can you match the child with his or her new friend? Here are 4 clues. No child has a pet that starts with the same letter as his or her name. Dan doesn't have a pet that lives in the water. Melody is allergic to smoke. And Sarah loves to fly. Good luck! Once you have found your answer, have your teacher submit it by clicking on the link in the email that came with this newscast and fill out this form.
That's it for the news. Have a great week.